So in this program, this was asked in GATE 2015, and I guess this was the most difficult program they have asked in the switch statement in the previous year GATE papers. But if you see this program, it is very easy, right? So this proves that you will not find any difficult question on switch statements. Okay. Now in this program, let me just number the line. This is line number 1, line number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And they are saying the number of times a printf statement is executed. That means we have to tell what are the number of times a printf statement is executed. Okay. Now in the line number 1, we are having 3 variables which are I, j, k, right? That means let us suppose this is the variable I, this is the variable j, and this is the variable k. In the k variable, we are storing the value 0. In the line number 2, it is j is equal to 2 into 3 divided by 4. This complete statement, we have to find this complete statement. Okay, so this is 6 divided by 5, right? Okay, then in this complete statement, we are having 2 multiplied by 3 divided by 4. This initial statement. So in this initial statement, we are doing 2 multiplied by 3 divided by 4. Now, if you see this statement, the precedence of division and this multiplication, both are same. So as we know, whenever the precedence is same, we work on the associativity. Now this associativity for multiplication and division is left to right. That means we are going to calculate this first, this left multiplication first, and then we are going to calculate this division. That means the statement will be 6 divided by 4. And if you do 6 divided by 4, you are going to get the output as 1, because 6 is also an integer and 4 is also an integer. That means this statement is now going to give 1. And then the next statement is 2.0 divided by 5, right? So it is 2.0 divided by 5. Now this 2.0 is a floating point number and this 5 is an integer number. That means if you divide 2.0 by 5, we are going to get a number which is 0.4. Okay, so this is going to give me 0.4, and then we are having 6 divided by 5. Now this 6 is an integer number and this 5 is also an integer number. If you divide an integer number by an integer number, you are only going to get an integer number. So it is going to give me 1. So it will be 1. So this complete statement is now going to give me 2.4, and in this 2.4 we are going to store this 2.4 into an integer variable. This j is an integer variable, that is why we are going to neglect this point part and we are just going to store 2. So 2 will be stored in j. And then in the line number 3, the statement is k minus is equal to minus minus j. Now if you see this statement, in this statement the precedence of this minus minus operator, that is this is pre-decrementation operator, is higher than the precedence of this subtract associative operator. Okay, sorry, it is subtract assignment operator. That means first of all we are going to calculate this minus minus j, and then we are going to perform this operator after that. So if you see, the value stored in j is 2, and that means the minus minus j is now going to make this value as 1, right? And then we are going to assign k minus is equal to 1. That means k is equal to k minus 1, and the value stored in k is 0. Therefore k is now going to store minus 1 because of this statement, because this statement will be k is equal to 0 minus 1. Okay, and then the for loop. Now we are at the for loop. In this for loop, we are initializing the variable I with 0. That means 0 will be stored in this variable I, and then we are doing I is less than 5, right? So when I is less than 5, the value 5 is 0, 0 is less than 5, therefore this condition is true. So we'll come inside this for loop, and inside this for loop we are having a switch statement. Okay, now in this switch statement we are going to do I plus k, right? So whenever the value of I is 0, okay, and this switch statement, the statement will become I plus k. The I is 0 and the value of k is minus 1. Okay, so it is now going to give me switch -1. Okay, now if you check switch -1, this switch -1 does not match with any of these cases. It does not match with the case number 1, it does not match with the case number 2, it does not match with the case number 3, therefore we are going to execute the default case. That means this printf statement will be executed once. Okay, now next time we'll go to the for loop and we are going to increment the value of I. So the value of I will become 1 now. So when the value of I will become, we'll check whether this 1 is less than or equal to 5. Yes, this 1 is less than or equal to 5, therefore we'll go to the switch statement, and the statement in the switch statement will become switch. It will be I plus k, that means 1 plus of -1, that means this statement will become switch 0. Now if you check switch 0, this it is not matching with any of these cases. That means case number 1, 2 and 3 will not be executed. Again we are going to execute this default case, and still in this default case this printf statement will be executed one more time. Okay, now we'll go to this for loop, and in this for loop the value of I will be incremented. So the value of I will become 2, and when the value of I will become 2, we'll check the condition. Yes, 2 is less than 5, therefore we'll again come to this switch statement, and in this switch statement, the switch statement will become switch I plus k, and the value of I is 2 and the value of k is -1, so it will become switch 1, right? So when it becomes switch 1, that means the case number 1 is is valid now. That means we are going to execute the case number 1, but as you can see, the case number 1 is not containing any break statement, right? And so is the case number 2 and case number 3. So that means all of these cases are not containing any break statement. So if we start executing the case number 1, then we'll go on executing the case number 2, and from this case number 2 we go on executing the case number 3, and from this case number 3 we go on executing the case number this default case. Okay, so here we are having switch 1, that means case number 1 will be executed. Now in the case number 2 this printf statement will be executed. Now in the case number 3 this printf statement will be executed, and in the case in this default case this printf statement will be executed. Okay, now we again go to this for loop. Now in this for loop we are going to increment the value of I. The value of I will become 3. So when the value of I is 3, so in this switch statement we are going to get switch 3 minus 1, which is going to give me switch 2. Okay, so when we get switch 2, we are going to execute the case number 2. Okay, now in this case number 2 we are going to execute this printf statement one time, then again we are going to execute this case number 3 one time, and then again we are going to execute this case number 4 one time. Okay, and then again we'll go to this for loop and we are going to increment the value of I. Therefore the value of I will become 4. So when the value of I is 4, therefore I is less than 4, I is less than 5, 4 is less than 5, correct? Therefore we are going to come inside this for loop, and then we are going to execute this switch statement again. Now in this switch statement, the statement will become switch 4 minus 1, right? And this will become switch 3. Therefore we are going to execute the case number 3 now. So from the case number 3 it will be executed once, and after this case number 3 we are going to execute this printf statement. Okay, then again we'll go to this for loop and the value of I will become 5, and when the value of I will become 5, this condition is not true anymore. That means 5 is not less than 5, therefore we'll come out of this for loop, right? So, and then we are going to return 0. So this return 0 is actually returned to the operating system to identify, to tell the operating system that yes, I have completed my execution of the program completely. Okay, so if the question was the number of statements, the number of times the printf statement is executed. Okay, now if you count the number of times this printf statement is executed, this is the first time, this is the second time, this is the third time, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Therefore the printf statement is executed up to 10 times here. Okay, right. So this was I guess this was the toughest question they have asked in GATE from the switch statement. Okay.